Hello wild people, welcome to AK Wild One. Today I'm going to talk about some new gear I've selected for this older hiker. Thank you for tuning in to AK Wild One. So as we get ready to hike the Colorado Trail starting in the next couple of weeks, I've decided to go through my gear and I've made some changes as I've gotten older and as new problems have arisen. My first gear switch is going to be that I'm going to be hanging up my Hoka Speed Goats and wearing a mid-weight hiking boot. My feet seem very comfortable in the Merino Moabs, mainly because of the ankle support, and I don't twist my ankles that much when I'm hiking in them, and so I seem to like those. My feet seem to be dialed into those. If you've watched this channel, you know that I really obsess about my feet. Before I hiked the PCT in 2022, I went through 5 different pairs of shoes, just trying to find the pair that seemed to agree with my feet the most. And so this time around, I'm going to be hiking in Merino Moabs. So this is not an endorsement for Merino Moabs. I will never endorse a particular type of shoe because our feet are all different. So what works for me doesn't necessarily work for you. But a lot of older hikers I know have made the switch to hiking in mid-weight hiking boots versus trail runners because it just seems to be easier on their ankles and it gives them the support they need. So that's the number one switch I'm going to be making. Okay, the second thing I'm going to be changing is I'm going to be carrying along an ankle brace. And Flash is helping me choose the correct brand to get, the type and brand to get. The reason being my right ankle is a little bit sore and I decided I need to just be careful and maybe start wearing a little bit of an ankle brace on the trail. Before, when I hiked the PCT, of course I had blisters, my knees hurt a little bit, shins, and then last year when I was hiking through Oregon, I got a plantar fasciitis, and so I want to take care of my feet. I want to pay attention to any possible injuries that might arise. So before you head out on a long distance hike, I think it's really important to be honest with yourself and do a good survey of how everything is running in your body, kind of like a bumper to bumper diagnosis. And so like I mentioned earlier, I tend to obsess over my feet. And so I've noticed that my right ankle is a little sore, and so I've been doing some ankle mobility exercises, and I've also decided to buy an ankle brace. So far it seems pretty good. Today we just hiked up a really steep section, and my ankles felt great hiking in my Merino Moabs. So I feel like I'm on the right track, but I'm also going to be carrying an ankle brace, which no shame. You see plenty of hikers on the PCT or long distance hikes bringing ankle braces or knee braces. So as we get older and we want to stay in the game, it's just one of those things we got to do. Okay, my third switch for this older backpacker is I've decided to move away from the Sawyer Squeeze and try the Katadyn BeFree water filter. This water filter, I've been taking it out on day hikes and short trips, and I've been very impressed with it. It's not as stout as the Sawyer Squeeze. It doesn't filter as many aggregate gallons as a Sawyer Squeeze, but it's very light, very easy to use. You don't have to back flush it as intensely as you would a Sawyer Squeeze. And I've been happy with using it when I've been out in the field. The only concern I have is, well, how will that bag hold up, the little bladder bag? It seems a little flimsy, so I'll probably have to take care of that. If I need to go back to the Sawyer Squeeze with the CNOC bag, I'll do that. So the Katadyn BeFree can filter up to 1,000 liters of water, and it's easier to clean. You can use the swish or swoosh movements to clean it out. And I've had a few people in my comments talk about how much they like the Katadyn BeFree. So I went ahead and bought one, and I've been field testing it, and so far I'm impressed. We'll see how it does on a long distance hike like the Colorado Trail. And again, I'm worried a little bit about how flimsy that bag is, whether or not it's going to get some holes in it, but we'll just see how it goes. Okay, the next new item I've decided to include in this older backpacker's repertoire is the CNOC 1 liter collapsible water bottle. This is a cute innovation. I don't know how else to describe it. It's a water bottle, that 1 liter water bottle that collapses and folds down very tight so you can stow it away in your backpack. And on those longer water carries, maybe you don't have to carry as many smart water bottles that kind of get in the way. You can just have this as a backup. So we're going to see how it goes. I'm a little worried about how durable it'll be, but again, it's just going to be something I keep in reserve and I'll use from time to time in the event that I need it. And it might be a nice backup water bottle, and it weighs practically nothing. So that's another item that I'll be including in my backpack. Okay, the next item that I'm carrying, and I've kind of fallen in love with this, especially because it's been a tough mosquito and, as you can see, a tough gnat season here in Alaska. It's an Aventik Bug Shirt, and they only cost about $15, $20, and mine's pretty durable, and I've worn it on a couple of occasions when the bugs were just driving me crazy. And I thought this would have been a nice thing to have in Oregon last year when I was hiking along the Oregon Trail and the mosquitoes were not up to Alaska standards, but they were still pretty bad. So one thing you want to pay attention to is you want to buy a bug shirt that's a little bigger than what you would normally wear, because those mosquitoes are pretty industrious, those little piranhas of the sky, and they can dig their proboscis through the mesh. Another good reason for carrying a bug shirt is it might be a good backup in case you rip the netting on your mosquito netting on your tent, and you can help use that to patch the hole. So I don't think I would carry it the entire trail. A bug net is still a better way to go, but in those sections, like maybe in Washington or Oregon on the PCT, or if you ever come to Alaska, be sure to look at the different varieties of bug shirts. Again, I bought the Aventik. The one thing is, you know, even though it's a mesh or a netting, basically, it does make you a little hotter, but it does seem to do a good job keeping the bugs away. Okay, this next item kind of belongs in the vanity category. And yes, I enjoy carrying a Flextail Zero pump. It's a very, very light pump, and it does pump up my air mattress fairly quickly. I don't really need it. It's not a necessity. It's just one little chore at the end of the day that goes a lot quicker. And so I can get to cooking my meal and then maybe getting in the tent and falling asleep, which is what I want to do at the end of a long day on the trail. So I bought this pump. Some backpackers might view it as unnecessary and pretentious. I get that, but it weighs about a couple of ounces with the battery. It says, the company says 1.2 ounces for just the pump, but you know, you got to have the battery, so add another ounce for the battery, and so you're at a couple ounces, 2.2 ounces or so. But it blows up my Thermarest in about 1 minute, and you charge it with a USB, and it's good for about 25 inflations. It can go for about 25 minutes is what they say. And you can also use it, reverse it, to suck the air out of your mattress. So I'm going to be carrying that. You know, maybe when I get to a camp spot also, like maybe I'll blow everybody's mattress up and exercise a little quid pro quo and say, well, you know, I'll blow up your Thermarest if you give me a coffee or something out of your French press that you're carrying along, which actually you don't run into those kind of people. But I've thought about carrying a titanium French press, but I'm off the subject. The Zero Flextail pump, I'm including it. Maybe I'll send it back, but at 2 ounces, am I really going to notice it? Okay, so the last item I'm switching over to, and again, this reflects my obsession with feet, is Farm to Feet Merino socks. Now, I've been a die-hard, darn tough sock user, and I'm not gonna diss Darn Tough. I like their socks a lot, but for some reason, my feet just seem to love Farm to Feet socks. Maybe it's because they just fit a little snugger. It's just they give me my feet and my toes that, I don't know, that little bit of security that they need, kind of like tucking in a baby before he or she goes to sleep. I've been impressed with their durability, and again, the way they feel on my feet, and they dry fairly quickly when I get them wet. And so I'm going to be using Farm to Feet Merino socks on the Colorado Trail. So these tweaks, while they're not revolutionary, they might help move the needle a little bit and make my experience on the trail a little more enjoyable and a little more successful as I get older. Well, wild people, if you're interested in any of these items, you can find them listed in the description. Also, please consider following my Facebook page, AK Wild One. And if you have any comments, I'd love to hear from you. Remember, these are my suggestions. They're not scientifically based. You should make your own decisions. We all walk a little differently. We all have little different attitudes on the trail. But I thought I would just give you my take on how I'm changing my backpacking repertoire as I get a little older and want to keep staying in the game. And so, my friends, happy trails. Until we meet again, live wildly, my friends.